Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We interview Hispanic business owners to learn from them their story, the story of their success and their struggles. And we trust you find these stories interesting. Today we have a very special guest with us, Cynthia Aguilar Granillo, who owns AGI Insurance Brokers. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for taking time to share your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what is AGI Insurance?
It stands for Aguilar Granillo Insurance. My maiden name and my married name, last name. So Aguilar and Granillo, we just combined them and made it AGI Insurance.
How long have you been in business?
A little over 28 years.
You've been in business 28 years?
Yes, sir.
And how big is the business?
I've got a total of 7 staff. My employees are probably been with me over 10 years. So I've been very blessed. All my ladies have been with me a long time. And so we've got one agency at 620 North Ressler in the west side of El Paso. And I got great ladies that help me run the agency.
And that's your building?
That is my building, yes.
At 620?
Yes, that is correct.
Ressler. So how did you start the business?
Whoosh, many moons ago. So I started the business. I first started with going to school and going as a registered nurse. So the original plan was for me to be full-time nursing. So I first started as a nurse, and then somewhere along the way, I grew up in the business. I didn't learn the business, I grew up. Dad would pick us up from middle school and take us to the office, my brother and I, while Mom went back to school and finished her education at UTEP. And so a lot of people always ask me, you learned the business, your dad brainwashed you to learn the business. And it wasn't, it was just, we literally, we grew up in the business, seeing Dad day in and day out. And so just learning from him and seeing what he did on his success with his clients and really taking the difference to care about them made me realize that I had, exactly what it took to do something like that and make a difference to so many people out there. And that's where I started with the business. So
your dad was in insurance?
Correct. My dad just retired 3 years ago, and he was with Allstate for a little over 30 years.
So he had an Allstate agency?
He did. He had an Allstate agency.
And so how did you grow up in the business then?
I started really young, and then I decided that when I was going to nursing school, I was already there. I became licensed when I was 18, just because. Why not? And I was already helping him. And so then I decided that at that point in the game, I could do both. I could do nursing, and I was working probably 80 hours a week. I was doing nursing in the weekends, Friday through Sundays, as a pediatric oncology nurse. And then I was opening up the agency. So Monday through Friday, I was putting in a minimum of probably a good 60 hours, starting with no clients. So just started from scratch.
You started from scratch? You started a whole new agency?
I did.
You didn't take over your father's agency?
I did not. No, my dad and I have our building on Ressler, but half of it, Suite A was myself, Suite B was him. So we had 2 doors to that agency, and his was all Allstate, and mine was the independent agency. So when I started, it was difficult because most family and friends were already insured with him.
Yeah.
And so I started back then with a phone book. No clients, just with with the many blessings and a leap of faith that I took, that God wouldn't let me down. And we started calling from phone book. We started from letter A and trickled our way down. And so that's how we started the agency.
So you started doing the marketing yourself?
I did.
But you're a practicing nurse. You're a working nurse at the time.
And that's why it became reasonable for me to do it, because I had financially set myself well as a registered nurse, thinking that's what I was going to do full time and continue my master's in nursing. But when I decided that I was going to do the insurance agency, financially, that allowed me to open up the agency, because as a new agent, as a new broker, there's no income coming in, no clients, no nothing. So the nursing really allowed me to take the little bridge over and be able to do both of them, because I was able to work on the weekends and then during the week at the agency. So
you started as an independent agent from the beginning?
I did not. I started as a captive agent. I started as a captive agent. I was captive for about 8 years with Allstate when I was doing nursing, and still continue to do nursing. And then when the market Early 90s, the market was fantastic. The insurance carriers, everybody wanted business. The rates were great. They were competitive. And then end of 90s, the market changed. And we were losing a lot of clients. At least I was, to independent agents, independent brokers. So at that point of the game, I decided that it was time to make a change. And I already had my clients established, and we had to sell those back to the captive company and start all over from zero.
Wow. Wow. How long did it take you to stabilize?
Well, it was 2-year non-compete. So we were blessed that didn't affect us, because, customers kept looking for us, and the phone book, a lot of marketing. My husband then started helping us, just calling. My brother was on the phone. Everybody's just on the phone, just trying to solicit new clients.
So tell me about your family. You're married.
I am. I'm married to my high school sweetheart of, high school from Coronado. We've been married 25 years.
Really?
Been together 30, married 25. So it's been a blessing.
What's your husband's name?
Adrian Granillo.
And what does he do?
He's a retired federal agent.
Okay. And children, how many children?
I've got 3 children. I've got a 21-year-old, America's 21. She's on her last year at UCLA. Then I've got Cindy Renee, that's 20, and she's on her 2nd year at Cornell. And my youngest is Adrian, and he's 17, and he's a senior at high school at Franklin.
Okay.
So
but you went to what high school?
Coronado. There was no Franklin then.
And what elementaries?
I went to, when I first started at Bell Elementary in Central, and
Really?
moved into, I was there for a couple of years, and my dad moved us to the west side of El Paso when I was in 4th grade, and I ended up going to LB Johnson.
Wow.
And then I went to Moorhead, and then to Coronado.
That's quite a move from Bell.
It was.
What street on Bell? Near Bell?
Bassett.
You lived on Bassett.
I lived on Bassett, yeah.
My father went to Bell.
Ah.
His name was Isaías Galicia, and they wouldn't say that. They gave him the name Jack. So all his life, my father's name was Jack.
Jack.
Because they wouldn't say his name. But they said, yours okay at Bell.
They didn't. They struggled.
Okay.
They struggled. Cynthia was was an easy name to flow for them. So yeah.
Well, tell me about your father. What's your father's name?
My dad is Cynthia Aguilar. Dad has been a beautiful guide to my success. He's one of those persons that I look up to. I've looked up all my life. Those shoes to fill have been wonderful, because he's been a blessing. He's taught me, like I explained, he taught me a lot during, as we started the agency, as I was young. He taught me good work ethic. He taught me to be grateful. My parents have always been, be humble, be kind, give back. And, without God's blessings, we're nothing. So.
What's your dad's background?
He is, my dad came from, he was born in Mexico, in Chihuahua, and came when he was 7 years old to the United States. His dad decided that he was bringing his family over. And unfortunately, his dad, a year into working at a factory, got electrocuted. And so left his family without any insurance, without a father. So my dad was the youngest. He has 2 older sisters. And so he, really had to step up. So, he was working odd jobs, everywhere, roofing, filling soda bottles, everywhere and anything he could do. He got drafted into the military. So he served for about 3 years. And we got out and decided that roofing wasn't where he wanted to be. And he went back to get his education at UTEP.
Oh, he did?
He did. So he got his bachelor's in business administration and marketing.
Really?
Yeah.
What year do you remember?
Oh, goodness. So he must have been, he graduated in 66 from Jefferson High School.
Okay.
So in late 70s.
Wow. Interesting.
Yep.
You went to Jefferson.
He did. My parents were high school sweethearts also.
Wow. And your mother?
Mom was a stay-home domestic engineer up until she was 40, and then decided that it was time for her to pursue her education career. So she went back at 40 to UTEP and got her a bilingual teaching degree.
So she became a teacher?
She did. Became a teacher. She worked for many years at Rosa Guerrero. Then she worked at the Job Corps.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
She worked at
Was she there when Mr. Carrasco was still there?
She was. Yep.
He was a good friend,
Yes.
Mr. Carrasco.
Wonderful man.
So, and your mother, where's she from?
She was born and raised here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, did you grow up speaking Spanish or English at home?
English. English was a primary language. Spanish was learned at school. It was a little bit of you're going to be forced into the bilingual education program because you're Hispanic. So when I started at Bell, that's where I started. And it was difficult. So my mom really wanted to make sure that we learned the English because, wanting to be an educator, she saw how we would be segregated, put into different tables, different lunchrooms, different PE times. And so when my brother came about to go to school, she didn't place him in the bilingual program. It was only I. And so our main language has always been English. But of course, as we grew older, we, learned our Spanish.
Brothers and sisters, you have one brother?
I've got one brother. My brother is Rene Jr., and he's 4 years younger than I am.
And what does he do?
So he owns a logistics and transportation company and a hedge fund company as well.
Mm-hmm. The transportation company here in El Paso?
Yes, and now he lives in Houston, but it's a little bit everywhere.
What's the name of his company?
It's called Ninskers Transportation and Logistics.
Wow, fantastic! Mm-hmm. Wow, so you all got but you wanted to go into nursing. When did you decide that?
I've always loved the idea of the medical field. I was very, very drawn. This is very young. The idea was to, become a registered nurse and then possibly go for my nurse practitioner. But somewhere along the way, as I grew up and I started learning the business and seeing the difference that he made with clients and educating them, it wasn't just about selling a policy. It was really to make the difference. How could we change one person, one family at a time? And so it was always nursing. And when that happened, then I thought I could do both. Why not both? And so at that point, I didn't have children. My husband and I were married. It worked out great. I was able to do both of my passions, which I'm still a registered nurse. I still practice. And so it's just one of those things that I thought I'm going to be able to do it and continue with both.
So how many hours do you spend at your work, at your office?
Right now, now that the girls are out to college, I'm not running around like a chicken without a head to sports and all kinds of activities. I probably spend a good minimum of 30, 40 hours a week still. And I'm always working remotely, so I'm always on.
And how many hours do you spend nursing?
That's only as needed, and I spend a lot of time just doing physicals or wellness. So maybe at least once a month, twice a month.
Okay. But you were a pediatric oncology? Cancer
Yes.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's tough.
It was tough. It was really, really tough. It was tough because you spend a lot of time with the families. You become part of their family. You spend a lot of time in the room with the patients. So it was tough, and it became tougher when I had children, because then it hit home. Because then we lost children at the same age that my daughter was, and that was very difficult to go home and deal with that.
But then you started the business. You come out of nursing school. You got a BS in nursing.
Correct.
And then when did you worked for how many years before you started the business, or you were still working the business?
I was still working the business, so I never not worked the business.
Okay.
I did both side by side. As soon as I turned 18, I got licensed for insurance, and I was helping Dad while I was going to nursing school. And when I graduated nursing school, I started working directly at Providence. But I was still doing the agency because I was working the weekends shift at Providence. And during the week, I was working the agency and starting the agency from scratch.
So you've been doing two things for your life?
All my life, yes, all my life.
Well, insurance is a different world than nursing.
It is.
But you have a purpose?
I have a purpose in both. I really feel I have a purpose because I'm feeling Dad's footsteps. Now that he's retired, I've gained a lot of his clients have looked for me, and it's beautiful when they come into my office and say, "You just remind me like your father. You took the time. You took the time to explain to me." I've always taken pride in making sure that my clients are not a number, that they're not a client. They've become part of the family, and I've had clients for over 28 years now.
Right.
And so, with that being said, that's why when Dad retired, I thought, we can continue the legacy, and it's been great footsteps to fill in because he made the difference in so many people's life. It wasn't about a policy. It was about making sure that tomorrow, if you didn't have life insurance, your family wasn't going to suffer. So, not live for today, but plan for tomorrow. That was always his thing. If you didn't ask, you'll never know.
The one question I've never asked about life insurance, especially agents, because you like life insurance.
I do.
Important. Have you seen people benefit from having life insurance?
In so many ways. So many ways. It's a beautiful thing to be able to provide that check to the beneficiary. I had a client that passed away probably about 30. He was 30 years old, and he left 2 young kids. He passed away in a motorcycle accident. And had it not been for his life insurance, possibility that his family could have lost their house. So his wife didn't have to run to find a job. He was able to stay home, sustain the family, and be there for her 2 young kids without their father.
Oof.
So life insurance really makes a difference.
So you can have a passion for that.
I do. I enjoy, the agency it's a broker. So we have a little over 15 carriers that I shop around with, whether it's home, auto, commercial, or life insurance. And everybody in my agency has a role. I've got a commercial producer. I've got personal lines. I got, somebody takes care of claims, but I take pride in taking care of the life side of it. To me, it's life and disability are quite important because it's one of those things that people never get around to working on until it's too late, possibly. And so if I'm able to talk to clients and educate them and explain to them the importance of having it, whether it's $1 or $1 million, it doesn't really matter. It's what's going to happen and how the beneficiary is going to be able to, make their life a little better.
But you're not just selling insurance, you're also building a business.
Building a business, and I'm building relationships. And I think that's where we make the difference. Many of my clients come from referrals. We started from phone book and from telemarketing, and now it's a blessing because the phone rings, customers call, and somebody referred me, and it's because we made that difference in building that relationship with them, getting to know them personally. Again, they call and they're just not so-and-so. We know a little bit about them.
So is that the secret of your success, the relationship building?
It is. It is. I take very much pride in being there for my clients. I take pride in being able to answer a call, to answer a phone call, a text message, an email, meeting with the clients in person. More and more you see that most people don't have time.
Right.
Everything is over a social media, everything's over a text. And so I really do take pride in being able to at least touch base with my client once a year and make sure that their policies and they're doing well. It's not about the policies, how are they doing? Checking up on them, because again, we build a relationship within a family.
So when you started the business, though, you started from scratch.
I did.
So gosh, how long did it take you to build your base?
It probably took us I want to say it didn't take us very long. It took us a good year because we were very adamant about being on the phones. We were out marketing ourselves, and mainly it was marketing. I did a lot of church bulletins. I did a lot of our Catholic church parishes. I put my business card or bulletins. I did a lot of booths out there on the highway. I did a couple of signs, and so just trying to generate business, just trying to generate my name out there, and one person at a time. And we really did a great job on doing that.
Well, I've been to your office, and you have a big statue of Elvis Presley. Tell me about that. He's more than life-size.
He is. He's more than life-size. I'm just a huge Elvis fan. I love music in general, but I've always enjoyed since I was young. And I thought it was really interesting because when I met my husband, which was then my high school sweetheart, he really loved Elvis without really knowing that we both loved it. So it's just one of those things that I think was just meant to be. And Elvis is just, fantastic person that did it his way. Did a lot of, went through a lot of ups and downs. And so I've enjoyed him. And so my 6-foot Elvis in my office, my greeting there is my dad got it to me for my birthday.
Oh, really?
He got it for me. He shipped it from Las Vegas, bought it for me. The doorbell rings at the house and I open it and dear God, it scared the living because it's so lifestyle and you see it. And so now it's at the office and most of my office decor is Elvis pictures. A lot of my clients have bought me a lot of memorabilia that they have themselves.
Really?
And so we put it up. It's just,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
it is real beautiful.
Yeah, you can take your selfie with
Yes.
with Elvis.
I had a lot of clients that go in, check in his ring. They rub his ring for good luck when they're going to the casino. Yes.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's quite impressive. Quite impressive. But you make it sound so easy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible. I've always had good work ethic, and that comes from my parents. You just don't give up. There's obstacles. There's always going to be obstacles in life. It's just God has never closed the door on us.
How do you learn work ethic? I mean, you say you're from your parents. How do you learn it?
By seeing it, by living it. Because, do you read it in a book? Well, it's great. There's a lot of podcasts that you can hear. But I'm a firm believer that what you see at home is, what you grow up with and what you instill in your family. That's what I've instilled in my kids, is work ethic. It's important that they know the value of $1. It's not being grown in the backyard in a tree. It takes hard work. And this agency was hard work. It is, and it continues to be hard work because, every time we turn a corner, something's changing in the market. But I think based on what Dad taught us is, you don't give up. You try it, and if it's something that you want to do and you're going to be happy doing it, then you'd give it your 100%.
Why'd you decide to be an independent broker?
Because the market, when at the end of the 90s, the market was decreasing for the captive companies. The rates were expensive. There was much I could offer. I felt like I wasn't doing my customers a justice, that all I could offer them was this one product, this one company, and going independent allowed me to open up those doors for my clients. When I'm able to check 15 different carriers, and I've got standard carriers out there that I represent, it's great. It's great peace of mind for them to know that what they're getting is the best product, the best coverage, the best price at this particular time.
But not everybody gets into insurance is successful.
No.
What did you do different that made you successful?
I was consistent. I was persistent. I'm a go-getter. I don't know how to take no for an answer. And so again, that's my nature. That's the way I was raised. That's my nature. I'm a workaholic. I'm very type A as well. So it's always been, I saw the goal of what I wanted to do.
How did you learn to build a business, though?
Because I grew up in it. I saw Dad. I saw Dad day in and day out.
But that's working, but building a business requires people and dealing with employees.
It required when it first started, it just required me, my family, my husband, my brother, just then. But it's being able to find the right people that is the key to success for the agency, because I can't do it all alone. If it wasn't for my fantastic ladies that I have at the agency, there's no way. Even though I consider myself superwoman, it's not realistic. I can only do so much. And we've been blessed to have such great clients, and we've got a good book of business with so many clients that keep coming to stay with us. But when the phones are ringing and you've got 5-7 lines ringing at the same time, it becomes difficult. And then at that point, you're going to lose sight of the importance of taking care of a client.
So how did you know that you have to bring on good people?
Because I saw Dad struggle.
Okay.
With not great people.
Okay.
Not the loyalties, not the greatness of in and out. And so when we started looking for new agents, it was important that, for me, it was important that they were ladies and that they were, I wanted to push the ladies in our agency. Not that great men are doing, we had a couple of great men that worked for us for a while, but I wanted ladies that didn't have experience, because at that point of the game, I could get them licensed and I can get them trained the way I wanted to, because they come from other places and it's great. They come with experience. They can walk in and they can do their job right away. That didn't happen for the agency. So that in that sense, it was a little struggle because I needed to train, and training takes time. And
where'd you learn that?
That I just learned that I just needed to do. I did a lot of podcasts with Zig Ziglar. I was a huge fan of Zig Ziglar, and because that was something Dad had cassettes, and he would play them when we were going to school and picking us up. And there were so many great ideas that he had. And so that was one of them, is that you got to have great people to be successful.
Zig Ziglar is mostly sales, though, right?
He is sales, but he's also in building up a great business.
Who else did you listen to?
That's mainly it. That's really mainly my main person was always been Zig Ziglar. Now we just list, there's so many out there, but it was just that I wanted to be able to have the staff that could help me grow my business.
But you were open to learning.
Always. I love to hear stories. I love to know about people's life, because it's just a never ending. Knowledge, to me, knowledge is power. The more I know, the more I can help somebody that would come and ask me for help. I can have, clients always ask me, can I send you my son, my daughter? Can you help them? Can they do an internship with you? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think the more people that realize the great work ethic that's out there, especially with the new generation, they can be tomorrow's future.
Well, work ethic is important, certainly. But also to grow a business, it takes another mindset. And so where did you acquire that mindset to grow the business?
I want to say that it was just a lot of, I really think it's a lot of God taking care of it for me, because I'm a firm believer that He has not ever closed my doors. There's some times that I thought, what did I just do? Why did I open up this new business? Why did I start again? I was already established. I was already a nurse, but there's always been that little side of me that I knew that I could start all over again from scratch with no staff. And I think that was the biggest obstacle, but it was just mainly, it's always been my drive.
Did you ever have doubts?
No, because I have faith.
You have a lot of drive and a lot of faith, but you also, I understand, you're a reader. You like to read.
I do. I love to read. I'm in a couple of book clubs with friends, and I love to read. And I love to read a little bit of everything. I've just recently started with psycho thrillers, which has definitely not been my thing ever. And I'm quite intrigued with that, and a lot of biographies. So I'm, a diversified reader.
But you've seen businesses in your industry not do as well. Is it fair to say you've done well in your business?
Yes. Yes, I've been very blessed. I take pride in saying that we've been successful, and we pray that we continue to be successful, because we still have years to go. But it's just one of those legacies that Dad instilled, and I take pride in mine, and hopefully down the road passing it over to the next generation, whether it's my children or somebody else that walks into the business.
Well, but you've worked it. I mean, you talk about work ethic, and that's something that seems to just resonate so much in what you've done, and then having 2 careers and balancing those out and raising a family. Gosh, so how was it to raise a family and build a business at the same time?
It was tough. But the kids were always so great. I was so blessed to be able to be part of the PTA and to be part of, the homeroom for the children, because I was self-employed, because Monday through Friday, it was the agency, the weekend was maybe nursing. So I was able to pick up the kids. I never missed any of their milestones. And I think that is what I take very much pride in, being a fantastic mom and being there for them and still being there for them, because it's allowed me to do it. It allowed me to run a business from the minivan and answer calls and take care of clients with a laptop there.
So you've serviced the West Side all your business life?
No, not all. I mean, the office is located in the West Side, but I've been blessed to have clients all over El Paso. Okay. And all over Texas and now in different states. So I've got a lot of clients in different states that we take care of. We're licensed in, we got Arizona, we got California, Oregon. So as the clients sometimes relocate, we're able to relocate their policy with them to that state. So, originally it first started just Texas and New Mexico, and in the last 5 years or so, we've expanded to different states. And so when I say El Paso, it's mainly the whole entire El Paso area. Even though the office is in the West Side, I always tell my client, we're a phone call away.
Okay. So you can manage clients all over.
all over.
So as a broker, what's the difference between a broker and a non-broker?
Having options. As a captive or not being a broker, you only have one, for the most part, one carrier to offer the client. As a broker, we've got a little, and it depends on how many carriers you choose to appoint yourself or that they will allow you to appoint. We've got a little over, about 15 or 20 carriers that we, take pride in being with them. So we're able to, that's the difference, we're able to check the clients in different categories and different coverages and prices for them.
And your father started an agency as a, what agent?
With Allstate.
Allstate. And that was his career, Allstate. And that was primarily what kind of insurance?
A little bit of everything also.
Really?
It was home, auto, commercial, life insurance, investments. So he did a little bit of everything. And again, the same thing, his specialty was life insurance. He just took pride in trying to help and educate people on the importance of life insurance.
And that's what you got into liking that.
I do, because I would see him. I would see him day in and day out, where clients would come in and he would speak to them, and the things that he would tell them and explain to them about the importance of having it really got grounded on me, saying, he's making a difference out there. And then knowing when the beneficiaries came in or the widows came into the office to thank him for doing that for them, really was very heartfelt, because he did it. He never thought about it as a policy. It is a client. No, he always thought about it is we're making a difference one person at a time. And that's the importance of the life insurance.
So that part you like a lot. I mean, you're a practicing nurse, and you still do some nursing, but you like dealing with the tough side of business.
I do. It's always a challenge. Every day is a challenge.
And you like the challenge.
I do. I live for
what kind
challenges.
of challenges?
I love for any kind of challenges. If not, life is just too easy.
What kind of challenges do you get in business?
Right now, we're getting all kinds of challenges in the agency because the market isn't the way it used to be. The insurance companies have changed significantly. Many carriers don't want to write new business. There's too many catastrophes. Rates have gone up significantly. Deductibles are high compared to the way they used to be. So those are all challenges that we're having to face, things that we have to educate the client about, let them know what's happening, because, clients look at their policies and assume that things are the same.
Yeah, and you go down the freeway and you see all these ads for, call me if you get into an accident.
Correct.
And so that hits the insurance companies.
Yes.
So that's why the rates are going up so much.
Yep. We got this just for the homes, there's a lot of catastrophes. And even though we don't have very many, compared to the rest of Texas, we're still part of Texas. So we get mixed in with rate increases and different deductibles. So it's a lot about explaining to the client that.
Yeah. And even when there's forest fires and people lose their homes.
You've got New Mexico and you've got Ruidoso that had all those fires, and so many of these homes were not insured, and so many now are difficult to insure because of the market.
Wow. But you started business, so have you run into issues as a woman?
Unfortunately, yes. And I used to say that things would get better, and they have, but it's still a male-driven career. And I see that still now, and I've been doing this for so long. It's definitely males out there. Now, as we look into the future, we hope more females come into the business, because it's a career. It's a beautiful career. But I see that a lot. I see that when I go to meetings, out-of-town meetings, and my husband and I are walking in, and now it just becomes a joke for us, because before I would get just very offended that the first thing they would do is they would go straight to him and ask him, how did you start the business? How did you get here? And now we're just kind of waiting for the person to come in and ask the question. And, and he just moves away and he says, I'm just a guest. I'm just her husband. And, you got the questions, she's got the answers. And he just moves away a little bit. But, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, but it hasn't been impossible. Because
so what did you learn from your mother?
She was a foundation of the house. She didn't work. So she was a domestic engineer is what we call her. Because she did a little bit of everything. She kept that house together, while Dad worked and while we went to school. And even when she decided to go back to UTEP, all three of us, my brother, myself, and her, we were all at UTEP together. We had one income, And Dad managed to get us out of debt free from, finishing our education. And she always managed to have a hot meal on the table for us, regardless.
And she went to school.
Went to school.
And you got a degree?
And she worked. She was working full time, was going to school at night.
So who graduated first? You, your brother, your mother?
My mother graduated first. Okay. Then I did, and then my brother. Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
And she got a degree in education?
She did.
And you got a degree in?
Nursing. And bachelor's nursing, master's in business.
Oh, you got an MBA?
I did. And my
Did
brother.
that help you?
Did it make a difference? No. Did it help me with more knowledge? Yes. In marketing, in opening up a business, ideas, absolutely.
Would you recommend a business owner go and get an MBA?
Not necessarily. It's not needed. But again, I think I think the more knowledge you have, the better off you'll be and more successful.
Yeah.
Because do you need it to open up a business? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, usually an MBA is more corporate.
Right. It depends if you're going into a corporate business or hospitality in a hospital. Absolutely.
You have 2 daughters and a son.
I do.
What is your oldest daughter is UCLA. What is she studying?
She's studying business economics.
Okay. And your other daughter, is it Cornell?
She is Cornell, and she's studying business, hospitality, and culinary with a minor in healthcare.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, she's got a lot of stuff happening up there.
And your youngest son is still in high school?
Yes. Yep. He'll
Does
graduate.
he have an idea what he wants to study?
He wants to study business and with law. Yes, that's what he would like.
So, because you've talked a lot about work ethic. But it takes more than work ethic to make a business. Is that my assumption is my assumption fair?
It's fair. Absolutely.
What does it take then more than work ethic to build a business?
It takes commitment. It takes faith. As for me, that's what it took. It took faith, and it took a commitment, and it took dedication for me not to give up. Because it wasn't an option for it not to succeed, because that wasn't my personality.
So what is the enemy then? Giving up. You say you have to fight giving up.
Because it's easier to give up. It's just so much easier. Just why? I can go work somewhere else. I can do something else. But is it going to be easier at the end of the rainbow? We don't know that. So if that's something that there's a passion, that's where my passion was to build the agency and to be successful in the agency, then it wasn't an option to give up.
But you had a passion.
I did. I've always had a passion. I had a passion to work, and I had a passion to make the difference and educate in any realm, whether it was a auto insurance or it was a life insurance. To me, it was quite important that I educate.
The passion come from your family?
It does. It does. There's just that. We've had a great foundation. We're very close, and it was a lot of family time. And that passion, I feel it came from there. Anything Dad did, he did it full force. Dad worked for A1 Mobile Homes before he became an Allstate agent. Dad worked for Asarco, in an office. And when they went to strike, he went and cleaned the Asarco pipe. And so jobs that weren't easy, he knew that it wasn't an option to give up. One, he had a family. And Mom was right there waiting right beside him to support him.
So you learned by watching your parents then?
I did. Because, and then I go back to the same thing. People always say to me, it's because you were trained, or you were, they used to make fun of me. You were brainwashed by Dad to do an insurance agency. But it wasn't. It was, I really, really feel very, that we were brought up in the business. It was a norm to pick up a phone to help, to paper shuffle. Anything we did at that office, and we were young, my brother and I were young, we were in middle school. And so throughout growing up, that's kind of what we knew. And we saw Dad work long hours. He was there more than 40 hours a week, because the same thing, he needed to get that business going. One, for his clients, second, for us.
So it wasn't that did you, you just got in there because there was more to it than
selling a policy.
Yeah.
It's never been about selling a policy. It's never been about the dollar amount. It's always about having a relationship and building a rapport with your clients. My clients have taken care of me as much as I've taken care of them.
So you have 7 employees now?
I do.
What's growth for you? What's the next step?
New technology. New technology, this is what we're growing into right now. There's so much stuff happening with technology, with social media, something that wasn't there 10 years ago. So having to evolve with that, that's been a challenge because we get so used to the same thing over and over. And so now we're evolving into different aspects of social media, into a new management system, into a new phone system, just all kinds of great stuff that I'm excited about. Because people always ask me, you've been doing it for so long, don't you get tired? I don't. It's just.
So you're evolving and changing too.
Absolutely, have to.
What role does faith play in your growth?
It's an everyday. My faith is my God, and without that, I don't know if I can wake up. And so I listen to Mass every morning, especially after COVID that we couldn't go. It became a religious thing for me to listen to my Mass on my phone or on the TV every single morning while I get ready to go to work. That's the first thing that pops in is I listen to my sermon. And it allows me to be grateful, to be thankful, because there's so many people that may be going through a lot of stuff. And so I'm blessed, and I enforce that in the kids, is that life is short, we never know. And so we really have to be grateful for what we have. The little or the more people have, doesn't matter, it's just being grateful.
So you didn't inherit an agency.
No.
You inherited the work ethic.
I did.
But you built your own agency.
I did.
Separate, independent from your dad.
A lot of people always say to me, I've had people run into me, says you were born with a silver spoon, or they gave you the agency. Oh goodness, that would have been great. But that didn't happen. I worked, foot and nail for that agency, starting from absolutely not one client.
So you've built your own business.
I did. And since I started with a non-compete clause, I couldn't necessarily even be my own client because I was insured elsewhere.
What was that non-compete?
That's, you can't call clients for 2 years that were with you prior with another carrier.
Because you were signed up with another carrier?
Correct, because I was a captive agent. So when I opened up the independent agency, it literally was, dial the phone and get your phone book out.
Why'd you leave the captive agency?
Just wasn't a market anymore. There wasn't enough options for my clients. I don't think I was taking care of them. This is all I could offer you. And when they asked, why does my price go up, or can we change this? I didn't have an answer for them because there was nothing for me to do for them. This way, I can go to sleep with peace of mind, knowing that I took care of my clients the best that I could by checking for them.
So what are the obstacles or challenges you have in your business? What are the business challenges you have?
Educating a lot of clients of the importance of the insurance. Being a border city, Mexico doesn't, necessarily need or require, sometimes auto insurance, or, they don't believe in the certain products. And so that's been the biggest challenge. It's been is being able to get through and educate people of the importance of any product that we're offering. I think that's probably been the biggest challenge for us.
So what you've had a chance to mentor some young people?
I have.
And what's important about that?
Passing down knowledge, talent for the next generation. Next generation, is very social media based. Sometimes it's not about this anymore. And so they forget the importance of it, because I think that everybody has a story to tell. Whether it's in the agency or it's a personal one, a client has a story to tell, and we're there to make the difference. And so by mentoring these young, kids, I hope that we install that in them, because they come in and they mentor for the summer, and then they go off back to school, or they go off to another job. And there's been a couple that have been very grateful and have come back and now are my clients, now as adults, because then they were in high school, and been grateful for what we taught them.
But you talk about it's a relationship that you have with your clients, but you say everybody has a story. Well, but yeah, everybody has a story, but who's going to listen to the story?
I hope you and I and them, because there's, without a story, the way I see it, there's no future. People have to stop and smell the roses and appreciate what's right in front of them.
So you take time to listen to your client's story?
I do. I really much, very, very, and I take pride in that. I take pride because there's certain clients that may be ill, and I'll shoot them a quick text and check up on them and how are they feeling this morning. Client of mine that has, is going through some treatments, I'll drop off some breakfast for her in the doorstep. In spite of the busy schedule, in spite of that I run around like a chicken without a head, I take pride in that, because to me, it's about giving back. It's not just all about me. It's about giving back to the community, to the clients. And so that I do very well.
But you're really building your business around the relationships with your clients.
I am.
But I mean, building a business is different. I mean, you can have all that, but building a business is still structural. It's still having to pay taxes, having to watch your cash flow, and how do you handle all of that?
One day at a time. I used to say 1 hour at a time. Maybe it's every 10 minutes at a time. But it's a lot of planning. It really is. It's a lot of budgeting. It's a lot of looking for the future. It's planning. It's why that's one of my things is like, we can't live for today and not plan for tomorrow. We got to plan in order to be successful. Things are not going to just happen right here. It takes time.
Where'd you learn that?
Dad.
Where? How'd you learn that?
Just, Dad said to me one day, we can't be a gerbil going in a little circle. We got to be able to plan for tomorrow. And so many people just, we focus on today and hope that tomorrow we make it or we don't. And for me, it's been about planning for tomorrow to be able to have a successful agency. So
your dad, your mom, they trained you in a way.
They did.
How are you training your children?
Absolutely the same way.
Which
I work really hard for them to have the work ethic. The kids have been working at the agency in the summer. Any holidays, they go to the agency. When Dad had his, they would go work with Grandpa, or they'd come work with me, or go work with my brother. It's instilling the values of work and the importance of it. And whether they are, again, paper shuffling or picking up a phone, it's just a little bit of that for me has been really important for them. And now, as they are getting end of their, like America's finishing her career, it's great to see her evolve. It's great to be able to see her at the agency, because the girls are licensed already for the agency. They got licensed when they were 18, just because. And so now America works remotely from California for us. And so it's beautiful to be able to see that what my husband and I have installed, and my parents, that it's working, because it takes a village to build the family. And I think we've tried hard. We continue to be blessed.
So what kind of advice would you give somebody starting a business?
Take the leap of faith and don't give up and don't be afraid, because we don't know what tomorrow's going to hold. So if we don't do it, if you don't ever take the chance, you'll never know. And to me, regret is not one of those things that I wanted to live with.
So are you ever comfortable?
No. There's always something out there. There's always an opportunity. There's always something new to learn, something new to read.
So you're comfortable in being uncomfortable?
I am. I'm quite happy running around. I'm quite happy in always having work. That's just the nature of my work.
And you go from one challenge to another challenge?
I do, absolutely. If there's no challenges, then I kind of feel like then what? God's giving me challenges for a reason, so we have to take them.
Are you an entrepreneur?
I am.
Why?
Because I'm all about challenges and seeing what tomorrow can hold for us.
You're also a nurse.
I am.
And you're still practicing.
I do.
But you like your business too.
I do.
How do you balance that?
It's a lot of mentalness that I have to focus on what needs to get done and when it needs to get done. And again, I go back to being organized and type A because of that. I'm very involved in the business. I'm very hands-on in the business. Staff always tells me, slow down, but it's not in my nature.
But you're not a micromanager.
I'm not. Not.
Take too much time.
I mean, maybe a workaholic, but not a micromanager, because I enjoy what I do. And so I'm a fond believer that if somebody's coming into the business, do it for the right reasons. Do it because it's going to make you happy, and not focus on what you're going to come out of it or what income I'm going to make. Because then at that point in the game, you may not be happy.
But you've been able to bring people on and put them into, I mean, you have a staff and they all have their own, you've been able to delegate?
I have. I've been able to delegate. Each of the staff they're all well-rounded. They all can do absolutely everything and anything in the agency, but they all have a specialty. And I think that helps the agency significantly, because every customer knows who they can go to for something in the agency.
So all of your staff have specific areas they cover, and they do it on their own.
They do.
With your guidance.
Absolutely. With my guidance, but now they're self-sufficient. I mean, the office wouldn't be the way it is without my ladies. They're fantastic women. They're go-getters. They're hard workers. They have the same morals that I do. We're there to take care of our clients. That's to me the most important things, because without our clients, we don't have our agency.
Well, that's your culture. That's the culture you've established.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you successful?
Yes.
What's next?
Whatever God has in store for me. Definitely technology. Definitely opening new doors, possibly a new agency in California, now that my daughter will graduate. Expanding the business elsewhere.
Interesting, because she knows the business. You could easily just step into that.
Yes.
In California.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
So you could actually almost franchise what you have.
Absolutely.
Because you've got everything working the way you have your system.
We do.
So you can transplant that.
Mm-hmm.
But you could support an agency in California from here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and without having to leave from here, we could totally do it remotely if needed. Absolutely. So that's kind of where we, what the future holds for us. I mean, definitely, keeping up with technology and keeping up with the changes of the market and the companies that come in and come out.
So you trained your children by bringing them into the workplace.
And not necessarily train them to learn the business, but more to be able to value the importance of what we do and the work. That it's not, it's not just growing in the backyard. It is, it is a lot of hard work, a lot of hours that I've put into this business that nobody did for me. I did it all. I mean, I early mornings, late afternoons, late appointments, whatever worked out for the clients. And I needed for them to see the value of that and hope that they can grow from that and build something for themselves in the future.
How much more will you be doing this?
I don't know. As long as God allows me, as long as I've got health, I don't foresee myself going anywhere.
So, what is it to your personal life, building a business? What does it mean?
It is satisfaction, gratitude for my clients that have allowed me to take care of them for so many years. They all have options. They all have places. There's plenty of people they can choose to go to. And so for me personally, it has been that gratitude to them, that as much as I've taken care of them, they've taken care of me. And just a success story in my side that I know that I was able to do this as a female, as a Hispanic female, starting with 0 clients, that I was able to build this clientele and build this business to the way it is right now.
So you haven't taken a backseat to anything?
I haven't. I keep telling myself that I am, but I can't. I don't know how to yet. Maybe someday, just not right now. Right now,
you like being on front. You like going 100 miles an hour.
I do. I like being in the front line of the office. I like to be involved with these girls. I like to have agency meetings every week to discuss what's going on. How are we changing things? How can we improve stuff? That's very important for me.
So you're still taking care of clients, but you're running the agency as well.
I am. Clients, I still take care of clients. If they ask for a quote from me, that's who they're going to get a call back from. I still answer my emails. I answer my text messages. It gets busy. It gets a little overwhelming sometimes. But, you know, at the end of the day, I take pride in what I've done and what I've built.
At the same time, you build a business, a family.
I have.
You built a family, a business, and wow! And you followed your father's footsteps.
I did. Those are great footsteps to fill, and we know. And I take pride that my brother and I have done a great job in filling those. You know.
Well, fantastic! I really appreciate you sharing your story. I've certainly learned a lot. I think the essence of your success is the relationship you have with your clients and with people, and you listen to people's story, and you don't stop. Keep going. So I appreciate Cynthia Aguilar Granillo, you're sharing your story, and your agency AGI is at 620 Wrestler, and I learned a lot about your success and the reason for it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate your time and you having me.
Thank you. Thank you for viewing, and I trust you enjoyed this story and that you don't give up. Have a good day.